This is topic 5 in our chapter 7 unit. So right now this is mainly going to be some vocabulary and classifying different types of polynomials. So a monomial is a single term. Alright, so it's could just be a number 1, 5, or 12. It could be a number or just a variable. That would be a single term. That's a monomial. It can be 2/3 x squared y cubed. That would be considered a monomial because it's one thing that can be added or subtracted to another. A binomial is just two monomials together. And when I say together, I mean being added or subtracted. So basically you want to think unlike terms. So when we say you can combine like terms, if you cannot combine them, then they're unlike terms, and a binomial is just two unlike terms. So it could be like 2 plus x. We can't combine those. Or it could be like an x squared plus 3xy. Those have different variables and different exponents, so that you can't combine them. Those are binomials. A trinomial is just something that is three terms, or three monomials. So it's three terms. Each monomial is referred to as a term. So that would be like 3x squared plus 5x plus 2. Those are the kinds of things we'll be very familiar with. The degree of a monomial is the sum of the exponents. So remember, a monomial, mono being one, monomial is the degree is if you add all the exponents together. So like the degree of this monomial up here has nothing to do with the coefficient or the number in front. It's just adding these two together. So the degree of this would be 5. So if I had an example like this, the degree of this is actually 3 because there's really an exponent of 1 here. 1 plus 2 is 3. Basically, it's really how many variables would be represented if we didn't use exponents. So, and it has nothing to do with the number in front. So this would have a degree of 3 as well. Even something like this would have a degree of 3 because really each one of those has an exponent of a 1, 1 plus 2 plus 3. The degree of a polynomial. So the degree of a polynomial is just the degree of the highest degree term. So if we have something like, say 7x squared minus 5x cubed plus 10, let's say. The degree has only to do with the powers of the exponent, and the highest exponent or highest power here is a 3. So this would be degree 3. When you write it in standard form, that's just written in descending degree. So if we were going to use the polynomial I wrote before, this is the highest degree, so I'd write that first, make sure I include the minus sign. So negative 5x cubed plus 7x squared plus 10. A number is technically degree 0, because really, if there was a variable, it'd have to be to the 0th power for this to still be the same thing. The leading coefficient is just the number in front of the leading term. So the leading term is the term of highest degree, and the number in front is the leading term. So in this case, it would be negative 5. So if we were given a polynomial, let's classify what kind it would be. You classify it based on two things, the number of terms and its degree. So based on its number of terms is, can that open? Nope. This has one term, so it's a monomial, mono being 1. This has two terms, they can't be combined, so that's a binomial. 3 terms is a trinomial, and anything more than 3, 4 or more, we just call polynomial, as in poly meaning many. So remember, mono for 1 term, 2 terms is binomial, trinomial for 3, poly for anything more. So this would be a trinomial. This would be, even though there's a power of 3, there's only 2 terms, so it would be a binomial. Even just a single number is a monomial. This would also be a monomial as well. And this would also be a binomial. Let's go through some examples of what are not polynomials. Now, some of these are and some of these are not. This one, I don't know if you can see very well, but that has a negative exponent. All right, so that is not a polynomial because it could be written as 1 over x to the 4th. Basically, anytime it has a negative exponent like this, or if you are dividing by an exponent or dividing by a variable, it's not a polynomial. So this is not a polynomial, that is not a polynomial. This one technically would be, because if we simplify it, that gives us 5x cubed, and it's a monomial, which is a type of polynomial. It just has one term. So this is okay. This is actually a polynomial. Some definitions say you can't have more than one variable. This is actually a polynomial. We're going to stick to polynomials with one variable, but you can have multiple, so this is okay too. Here you're dividing by a variable, that's not allowed. Basically, if you write it with all the exponents, you can never have a negative exponent if it's on top. Okay, so that would be like 3x to the negative 2, so that's a negative exponent on top. So you can never be dividing by a variable, and you can't have fractional exponents, or you can't have any square root signs, okay? And you can't have anything where the variable is in the exponent. That is also not a polynomial, okay? So these ones are not either. So now, based on degree of the polynomial, you can also classify it. So you can classify it by the number of terms, or you can classify it based on the degree. So this is degree 0, right? Because if we had a variable, it would have to be x to the 0th power, because that's the same thing as 5 times 1. So really, that's degree 0. And we call that just a constant, because it's a term. There's no variables, nothing changing. Here, this is a degree 1. It's a 1x plus 4. So the degree here is just a 1. Come on. And we call that linear. If it's got a degree 2, then we call that a quadratic. And if it's a degree 3, it's called a cubic. And that just has to do with, if you're measuring a line, that's one-dimensional. If you're measuring two-dimensional, like height and width, that would give you a square. That's where we get the quadratic from the squared term here. And a cubic is because if that's three-dimensional, you'd have to multiply an x times an x times an x to get the volume of a cube. So that's where the little names come from. So here we have a variable with a degree 3, so that's a cubic. And we want to put them in standard form. There's only one term there, so that doesn't matter. Here, there's 3 terms. This is the highest degree, so we write that first, plus x plus 12. And because of that highest degree is a 2, it is a quadratic. And you'll be doing lots of those in Algebra 2. This is a monomial. It would be a degree 5 because you add the exponents, and there's no special name for those. Alright, so here are your U-tries, and we'll see you next class.